Fear is a misunderstood dynamic. It is a process of imagination and projection onto the present and onto the future, and sometimes onto the past. It's always imagination. It's not a reality. It's never a fact. It's never a truth. And it never has power over you. And it is imagined to be fact or truth or reality, or to have power over us, the world, or others that we care about. If we can recognize that fear is a process of referencing prior pain, unresolved wounding, or misunderstanding, or ignorance about something, and then projecting that could lead to an unwanted present or future result or dynamic or relational paradigm or process. If we can recognize that it's a projective dynamic, we can shut down the projector. We can shut down the dynamic, and instead of looking at what we're projecting onto reality or onto relationship or onto the present social process, we can see what is happening, and we can make choices from that understanding. So fear is also a process that is imagined to keep us safe from that which we fear. Our fears do not keep us safe, and fear does not it doesn't truly generate a feeling of safety or any real dynamic of safety or experienced safety in our world, in our life, in our relationships. Fear imagining can actually unintentionally generate dynamics of non-safety. If you were running from something that you feared or imagined and you ran out into traffic and got run over by a car, does it make sense that your fear would have generated an unsafe situation or dynamic? Or if you feared that others might judge you or abandon you socially or interpersonally, you might test your relationship dynamics repeatedly in order to gain proof that you really were loved, cared about, valid, important, needed, or wanted relationally. So, and that process might inadvertently just put more stress on the relationship rather than just being openly receiving of the love, kindness, and care that others actually innately have for you. Fear is also what might be termed a managed resource and an imagined state and dynamic of relationship that then becomes a habit. True, false expectations appearing to be real. Thank you. Excellent share, Travis. That dynamic of imagining that holding together in relationship out of fear and insecurity is equal to relationship, or is equal to love, or is equal to safety, or is equal to oneness, is not loving, unconditionally loving, accepting, receptive, and caring oneness, conscious, loving, caring oneness. Identity and positionality of all kinds generate fear by their very nature. With consciousness, there is no sense of individuated identity separate from other. Therefore, there is no process of fear. There is no resonance with fear, and thus no experience of fear. If someone tells you that they're going to save you from your fear, do you then become beholden to them? Can they then, if government tells you it's going to save you from something you fear, do you then willingly give up your free will to government? Or to, in an organization, if the organization says or intonates that you're going to be safer or made safe by the organizational process, are you then brought into a feeling of being dependent upon or beholden non-sovereignly to that organization or to that nation. And yes, we agree with your statement here, Julie, that people are often distrustful of someone offering them something. And that's a challenge. I mean, paradoxically, if you offer to sell somebody something, they're often more receptive to receiving it than if you just say, here, this is free. You don't owe us anything for it. We don't expect anything for it. We just want to help. That's not something that makes sense to the fear process, the subconscious fear process of humanity. And that is one of our challenges in all of our organizational communication, to communicate. We just want to help. We're here to serve. We intend only your well-being. There is no agenda. There is service. We want to help the world keep spinning. We want to help humanity keep living joyfully. And that's an adequate end unto itself. And that is a shift in values. Fear has become a value that's a commodity and a currency that is exchanged and transacted on in our world, rather than just simply operating from unconditional love and service. So that's a whole evolution of value, out of valuing fear and distrust and misunderstanding and remaining in victimhood, pain, and woundedness, and shifting into empowered, conscious, loving, kind, caring service without expectation, and with the only reason for it to be the common good, the well-being of all. So even to feel part of a family or a tribe or a nation, we're often expected to share the fear of the tribe or the nation or the family in order to feel that we're safe, in order to feel that we are in relationship with whatever group we're interacting with. So if you don't fear along with us, you're not trustworthy because you're not fearful and you're not in the same emotional state as everybody else. So that's the paradox of consciousness. Once you become conscious enough, the fear goes away. And if you walk up to people who are fearful and they say, aren't you afraid this is going to happen? And you say, no, it's all good. I'm going to do my very best to improve upon it and serve and help the world be safer and better and healthier and function well. And I'm not afraid. To people who are afraid, such statements can be intimidating or seemingly dismissive of their fear. We don't intend that. We intend humble service. Therefore, often it's not beneficial to speak of it. If you're working with people in rapport and facilitating and helping them work through fears, it's not constructive to talk about consciousness and saying, no, I have no fear of this, as much as to say, how can we facilitate you in moving through and out of your fear and into empowerment, into sovereignty, into capacity, into realized capability? So another paradox of fear is we're often told that if we don't resonate with another's fear, that we're emotionally abandoning them or dismissing their emotional process. So we're not suggesting fearing with people. And we're not suggesting resonating with fear. We do suggest being in rapport with people when they are in fear, which means empathetically open to their emotions without resonating with them. If you have a depressed person and you resonate with their depression, you get two depressed people. If you have a person who's depressed and you're in rapport with their depression, you can help guide them out of the forest of their depression and into realized positive understanding and capacity and joy and potential happiness. So fear is not a reality, and it's not optimal to dismiss someone's feelings of fear as if they were unreal, because for the person who's feeling the fear, even though it's a projection, even though it's a dynamic of subconscious emotion and projection, for them, it feels viscerally real. So if you're truly compassionate and truly love them unconditionally, you won't fear along with them. And you'll also be open to acknowledging their fear, supporting them, caring for them, even if they are in a state of fear and stress or anxiety. So fearing along with someone is not oneness, it's not unity, it's not consciousness, and it's not love. And being in loving, unconditionally loving, receptive, empathetic, compassionate rapport is very loving, very caring, very respectful, very honoring of their emotional process and their soul process. And it's the utmost importance to be humbly respectful of every human being's experience of life and not to dismiss it. If they say they've been victimized, that's how they feel. That's what they've experienced. Is it helpful to be in rapport to help them heal out of that feeling of victimhood into empowerment? Absolutely, it is. They deserve it. They deserve help. They deserve service. They deserve healing. They deserve support and facilitation. Every human being does.